All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. We're doing a promo here for our big show. The Cardinal Cowboys teamed up with the judge, Judge Carter. This is going to be some fun stuff. You know, there's a lot of good things that go on in our community and a lot of things that people don't even realize that are going on, and we hope to share some of that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Ladies and gentlemen, to my left, we've got over here Judge Carter. My name's Carter. Carter squared. We're going to come up with a few different variables there.
Yeah, we've been going with Judge and Cowboy and Carter. Welcome back, Carter. I don't know. It'll be soon. We'll figure it out, I guess, right?
Well, and the whole point of this show is we're going to have some cool local people that have done some great things, some celebrities. And how better to start off a promo with anything less than Angela Sharp
yeah, I was
in the house.
excited when you told me this was a possibility, you know. I was surprised when she was here. You said she would be here, and she is here. It's pretty amazing.
Magically here, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've known Angela for some time, and she does a great job and done some incredible things around St. Louis.
Yeah.
She did the Blues for a long time. We'll let her talk about that as a sideline reporter. Now she's upgraded to the big MLB, in my estimation. MLB is where it's at, right? Cardinal Cowboy, all that stuff. But competitor, but the Rays, a great squad. They actually did
much better weather.
Right. Yeah. Do you have to stay there and do the games there local most of the time, or do you travel with them as well?
Yeah, so I stay there. I do all their home games. So you know, lovely Florida weather. When I'm in Florida, I live about a half mile from the beach. So
oh wow,
not a far walk at all.
Yeah, right. Rather drive probably half mile.
A lot of people have got to be curious. I mean, if you're going to be on the sidelines for an MLB team, how do you get there? How did you started off? Let's start off with a famous question that everybody asks in St. Louis.
Oh, I love this question.
If you're born and raised, can I ask, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Webster Groves High School.
Webster Groves, okay.
Go Statesman, yeah.
All right. A lot of good talent out of the Webster Groves High School. Who are some of the people that you recall and where are they at today?
Well, there's a lot of people that came out of Webster and Kirkwood. Carly Kloss, supermodel, went to Webster Groves High School for a little while. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with a supermodel coming out of your high school, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I need to find this girl.
What about that Turkey Bowl or whatever, Webster and Kirkwood?
Turkey Day, the Turkey Day game. If you are from St. Louis, especially in the Webster-Kirkwood area, that game is huge. I mean, that is so small town in a big city.
You've been to one before?
I've been to all of them.
Oh, okay.
I've been to all of them. So my parents both went to Kirkwood. Me and my brother went to Webster, and now my brother is raising his family in Kirkwood. So it's kind of one of those things where it's a lot of fun to kind of give each other grief, especially around Thanksgiving when that game is played. Like you go after the game and you go hang out with your family and you're like, hey, we beat you or whatever. So
yeah, I know when I taught at UMSL for a while, it would make a movement, through the college campus and stuff. They'd sell cards, make videos of it. But you spend some time in St. Charles County, too, with the Ambush and stuff now, right?
That's right. I work for the St. Louis Ambush. This is my second season with them. I'm a sideline reporter over there. And, I mean, that is so much fun. They won their last couple games here, which is putting them over 500 right now.
Okay.
And the last game at home, they won in overtime. They came back. They were down 3-0 going into the second quarter. Came back, tied it up at 4 goals. Tied it up at 5 goals, went to overtime, and won.
And what are you doing with and for them? And what about DJ Prue or Matt Pruitt or whatever?
Yeah, he's over there. DJ Prue is over there. He's been there for a while. He's a lot of fun.
Worked for the Rams too, right?
Yeah, he worked for the Rams, and he's keeping everybody, up on their seat, dancing around, having a good time. But I'm the sideline reporter, so I do little games in the game, like, giving out free pizza and free donuts. But then I also interview the players after the game.
Okay.
So for the broadcast. So it's a lot of fun. If you haven't been to an Ambush game, you definitely need to make it out to one.
We're at Family Arena right there on Upper Bottom Road, or is it Arena Parkway or whichever?
Yeah, Arena Parkway.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there soon.
You need to make it out to a game. So.
It's a blast. A lot of great concerts come there. There's a Journey tribute band that was not too long ago. Angela sees me running around the crowd. Sometimes she yells at me and says, Cowboy, what are you doing?
I mean, how can you not notice this man?
Yeah. And I try to show up everywhere there's something good going on in St. Louis. Tell us, Angela, you've been all your life a native of St. Louis. What are some of the other cool things about St. Louis that you love that are kind of unique?
You know what I find, especially now that I've experienced Florida in the summer and being back here, St. Louis is really a community. I mean, it's just people that you don't know wave to you on the street, like hey, and it's just. You kind of feel, I know we have a bad, not safe thing, but you really kind of feel safe here. You kind of feel like somebody is going to have your back no matter where you go, which I like. And plus, there's so many awesome free events that you can go check out, which is, unlike any other.
You've been to the zoo?
Of course. You got the zoo, you've got the art museum, you've got the St. Louis Science Center. I mean, What can go
Well,
wrong?
we've got this little arch thing.
Oh yeah, we have
The
that
arch.
thing.
I was part of the St. Louis tribute to the arch on the 50th anniversary. My line that I kind of self-researched was the fact that the arch is twice the size of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Which is weird when you
you know?
think of it.
Well,
I mean,
it's pretty small. It's on a pedestal,
well,
and then it
but
grows.
it's out there on the,
Right, it
out,
is pretty neat looking.
It's kind of far away. So, I don't think you really take into consideration how cool something is when it is in your hometown.
Yeah. Well, I just figured that because it was twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty, St. Louis was twice as awesome as New York.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that fair
that
to
works.
say?
I
I
think that
imagine
works.
it's probably the way it
Probably.
works out.
I mean, they've got 2 baseball teams. We've got 1, but yet World Championships proportion to ratio.
Oh, he's
I think
pulling
it
that
was-
one out
Yeah,
again.
see
they
how
have
that works?
26. We got about 11. I think we're losing there.
But the ratio, play that out. But all right, so what other cool things do you think there are in St. Louis that just people don't even realize? I know you've got your own show. You do it and highlight all kinds of.
I
cool
do.
things.
I work for STL TV, so I do a TV show over there called The Daily Mix, where we like to highlight everything that's going on. All the different art festivals. There's a lot of artists locally in St. Louis who are doing a lot of awesome work.
Name one that you have met personally that's from St. Louis.
Well, I mean, you probably know him as well, Steven, who works at Cardinals winter warm up, painting all those awesome 3D photos.
Right.
He does it upside down and all that. I mean, that is just amazing.
How many times have you had a chance to work with or be in some collaboration with Nelly?
Oh my gosh, I've met Nelly and been at Nelly's Black and White Ball a number of times, interviewed him a number of times for that. So, I mean, Nelly's actually does a lot, to give back, especially during that Black and White Ball where he's giving scholarships out to, local kids.
Does a lot of cool stuff. I saw recently he's visiting kids at hospitals. I
Yeah.
love going to see the kids there because it really makes you feel good about pumping up kids. But Nelly's doing that too. I know there's a lot of artists that are tied in with Nelly that are all here in St. Louis. We're going to probably have some of them on the show
Yeah,
here at some
I mean,
point.
you gotta. Murphy Lee is still really basically local.
Yeah, right.
Chingy is basically St. Louis. I mean, there's a lot
Yep.
of really cool musical talent from St. Louis.
Well, and there's Coco and J.E. and those guys are
Yeah.
platinum recording artists.
J.E.'s been on my show, so you're gonna have to have him on your show.
And
Well,
how do we find your show, or when do we watch it? Do you know, or?
You can watch it every day, all day on STL TV, but there's also a link on YouTube.
Is that
to-
STL.TV or STLTV.com?
STL TV. It's a channel on your. You have to check if it's Dish or
Oh, okay.
Direct to see
All
which
right.
channel it is.
So you're on there every day?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
And you said you interviewed Nelly. I know you're the only one of us that's got a microphone. I guess you feel
I
more at
am.
home with
I do.
that, or-
I feel very comfortable with this microphone. It would feel better if I could do one of these.
Right,
but,
right.
But I'll keep it to myself today.
We do have our wireless on just to be cool as the anchors. And
It gives me something to do with my hands.
right, and you're always active out there in the crowd, entertaining. What's the most exciting thing about being a part of that and doing something? For
You know what? It's always been very different. The Rays is different from the Blues, which is different from the Ambush. But like with the Ambush, it's the kids. There's a lot of kids, a lot of families come to St. Louis Ambush games. So it's always fun to, keep the kids involved and see them get excited about stuff. With hockey, it was always fun to go toe for toe, especially with like an adult man who would like quiz you on some hockey things
Oh, yeah.
and, go toe to toe with that guy.
And you kept up with him?
Of course. My grandfather's actually being inducted into the St. Louis Amateur Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's very cool.
So I grew up a hockey fan. I'm in a hockey family. So I can go toe to toe for a lot of Blues knowledge. And then, with the Rays, I mean, that's also a kind of a nice mixture of the families and those fans that have, been around. I mean, the Rays are a relatively new
Yeah,
team.
right.
So, but there's also those fans that, have been around since then and, want to kind of keep up with all the, knowledge and make sure that this girl knows what she's talking about.
Part of what we want to kind of demonstrate on the show is that just about anybody, if they're willing to set their mind to do something, they can do it. I would imagine there's a lot of pressure on you. What was it like the first few times? How did you develop the skills to be out there with thousands of people looking at you, and you've got a microphone in your hand, a camera pointed at you, you're on the big screen, and you've got to not say something stupid? How's
Yeah,
it-
then I don't know that I don't always say something stupid because every once in a while something stupid does come out. But that's kind of one of the things about it. Working towards this. When I was a little kid, girls really didn't play hockey as much. That was more of a boy sport. So it was like, what can I do? And I remember going to a couple games and being like, well, I could do that. And so that's kind of one of those things I always wanted to do. And and when I finally got the job with the Blues, it was like, this is it. And you're standing there like you said, and there's a camera, and then you've got a mic, and you're like, and you just kind of have to tune everybody else out and just make sure you're having fun. And I find being genuine really helps because I feel like people can really see through it when you're not being genuine.
So what was the path? Where did you start?
So I started at SLU, and then kind of started filling in, doing a little bit here at the Blues. And then when they had an open audition for that job, I kind of came in. And I came in, I'm not going to say who against, but I came up against a couple guys, two in particular, that are kind of really well known in St. Louis. And I was like, oh, it's going to be tough. But so when I got the job, it was pretty exciting. And then from that point, you just kind of, always want to keep working on and getting to the next level.
And then MLB, what's next? You went to the Rays. Going to be seeing some big time HBO productions or.
Hey, you never know. I mean, you never say never on anything. Mm-hmm. I've noticed, especially in this career, you kind of have to go through whatever door opens up and see what path that leads to. I mean, I love the Rays organization. They are awesome to me, so I'm going to stay there for a little while. But you never know what might happen, and I have my eyes set on a couple lofty goals, so we'll see if we can get there.
Well, I know you were a guest for the Colorado Avalanche. No, I'm sorry, the
Coyotes.
Phoenix Coyotes.
Mm-hmm. Phoenix Coyotes had me come out there for a game.
So you're kind of getting known within the league now.
Yeah. So what would be cool is if you could host at every NHL game, like just one game.
We'll have to work on that a little
so
bit.
So if you guys can pull some strings, that would be great.
All right. So you've made it this far. What do you think was the biggest thing, the biggest skill that you had? What was the big insight you had? You go, so-and-so can do that, I can do it. I have an interest in that. What compelled you to really go for it?
Maybe just going.
Yeah, it's kind of more of just a going thing. It wasn't necessarily like seeing someone do it, but it was kind of just like, that's what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go do it. And, as you start to do stuff, you kind of learn more and more about what you're doing, and then you just, kind of keep trying to up your level. Everybody watches back some tape, and it's like, oh, I could have done that better. I kind of... and so you just kind of keep doing a better job of what you've done. But I have met some little girls in particular who are like, I want to do it, what you're doing one day. And for me, that is awesome to know that there's a little girl out there who's like, I want to do that. So
a little inspiration.
Yeah, that makes me feel good.
All right, so Mike, give us some of your perspective. You're the judge. Looking at
like
all
you
of
need
the
a gavel.
career paths that go on, the particulars about.
I had one last time we were here. Actually.
I feel like you need one.
I should have brought it.
So, Mike, give us some perspective. What does the judge think about all this stuff? What are you going back and you're going, as an attorney?
They say justice is blind type of thing, and I think with all the Me Too stuff and everything moving through, and binary units versus female and male, I think it's the gender gap or whichever is shrinking, exponentially, pretty much all the time, but it's been a lot of focus on it the past 2.5 or 3 years, I would say, and it's just kind of neat. You watch ESPN doing some of the things that you're doing now, and women are kind of taking over. Most women have more education; they get done faster with college, and all the things that Gloria Steinem from the 70s and 80s was talking about is just coming true right before our eyes, and I think that's probably. I don't know if that's a judicial look at it, but it definitely is something that reminds me of whoever's before you hit the bench. It doesn't matter, black, white, female, male, whichever. Whatever justice dictates is what happens,
Yeah, and our culture is migrating towards just about everybody's got this homogeneous. We can all contribute, and I think that's really neat about our culture. And St. Louis is kind of exemplifying some of that. I was watching some of YouTube stuff, and late at night digging up Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, right?
Okay.
And he got on and he pointed out the fact that, to your point, that he had 5 businesses that really did well that he invested in. And all 5 of them were led by ladies who did.
I know at CarShield, our #1 salespeople all the time tend to gravitate, toward the female. I think that's one of the benefits that females have that men don't have a lot of times is a trust factor. If you get, I think statistically anyway, the trust factor over the phone, a woman's voice is about 10 or 20% more than a male's voice as far as being shysted or something like that,
Right. Well, and I think that's a great contribution to our culture. I mean, my mom has been a huge influence, and if I ever need any good insight, she's the one who hammers it home and tells me what it is and makes that point. Who were some of the influences for you as a child?
My mother, my father, and my grandfather, who is the one that's being inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, that man had just a wonderful wealth of knowledge, especially of vocabulary. I mean, he could put somebody down without having to cuss ever with just words. And I was like, man, that's what I want to be someday.
Okay.
Yeah.
No cussing.
No cussing.
Okay.
No cussing.
Cussing helps a little bit if you.
There was a study.
Cussing doesn't help.
Okay.
My niece, who's a fireball, because I did let something fly. I played baseball, so
Right.
I let something fly at somewhere in the proximity of the Christmas dinner table.
Just yesterday.
Yeah,
this just happened.
This happened recently,
You're still
and then they
cussing.
brought up a study that showed that the most intelligent people do tend to use profanity periodically, just because they're so honest,
Yeah, you might have
so on
selectively
point.
chose that one.
Maybe not on Christmas Day.
It depends on the situation. When you're
Christmas-
trying to help people, sometimes you got to get to the point. and emphasize.
Now I want to know why you were cussing on Christmas.
Well, it was something like I said, darn it, that was terrible.
You said darn it?
I think it was along those lines.
Oh, well, darn it's not really a
Yeah,
cuss word.
I imagine he chose that today instead.
Oh, okay.
Well, I know
cameras
Angela
on?
said you got to be at your next event here in a little while, don't you?
Yeah, I gotta go. So,
We'll. I don't know how we got you here or whichever, but I'm really excited that you did come.
well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
This has
no
been
doubt.
so much
I
fun.
want to get to the STL TV thing or whatever.
You need to check that out, and you need to make it to a St. Louis Ambush game. I mean,
Yeah.
that is where the fun is.
Yeah, definitely. The Family Arena. I guess they call it St. Louis Ambush because everybody thinks they're from St. Louis. If you're in Wentzville or Rock Hill, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
even
mean,
though it's in St. Charles
everybody
County.
knows St. Louis, and in fact, when I visit other places, Nashville or Tampa, they're like, "So how close are you to actual St. Louis?" Because I'm always like, "Oh, I'm from St. Louis."
Right.
But I think everybody is. We're all St. Louis.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this is the kind of fun we're going to have on the Cardinal Cowboy Judge Show. I think we're going to call it the Judge Cowboy Show is what we're leaning towards.
I think it's getting closer. I like Cardinal Cowboy so much. I mean, I like you so much.
Oh,
Who
thank
is
you.
that? And then I also like the logo and everything. Maybe it'll be Cardinal Cowboy Show with a judge or something. We'll figure it out.
All
It's
right.
coming closer.
Coming to a TV, a cell phone, a mobile phone, an old flip phone. Can we broadcast?
think you can do it on a
do
flip
that.
phone, no.
Or a tablet and a television near you. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. The Judge Cowboy Judge Show, and we're going to have awesome guests. Imagine starting off with Angela. You know this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This
Thank
is-
you, Angela, for coming.
Thank you.
Really nice meeting you.
Super nice to meet you as well.
too.
We appreciate you coming on, Angela. All right, stay tuned. This is the Cowboy Judge Show. Giddy up.